Pedro Acosta claims MotoGP podium after tough season at Czech GP. Imagine bouncing back from what felt like the toughest start to a racing career, only to find yourself celebrating on the podium. That's the incredible story of Pedro Acosta at the Czech GP sprint race. After a season that had him questioning everything, this young Spaniard clawed his way to a second-place finish, marking a major turning point in his MotoGP journey. But here's where it gets controversial. A last-minute move by rival Marc Marquez snatched away what could have been Acosta's first win, leaving fans debating the fine line between aggressive racing and overstepping bounds. Acosta, riding for Red Bull KTM factory racing, opened up about how amazing it was to be back on the podium after enduring what he called the darkest beginning of the season of my life. This wasn't just a rough patch, it was a series of setbacks that had him finishing worse than during his rookie year. For those new to motorsport, think of it like an athlete dealing with a nagging injury that won't quit. In Acosta's case, it was compartment syndrome in his right forearm. This condition happens when pressure builds up inside the muscles, cutting off blood flow and causing intense pain, which can really throw off your performance in a high-stakes sport like motorcycle racing. Acosta had been struggling with it since his MotoGP debut last year, so he decided to have surgery earlier this year, right between the French and Spanish races, to finally get some relief. Fast forward to the Czech GP, and Acosta started the sprint race from 7th on the grid. Ahead of him were strong contenders like Francesco Bagnaia and Marc Marquez on their Ducatis, but things didn't go as planned for them due to tire pressure issues that plagued their rides. Bagnaia, who started on pole, ended up dropping back to 7th, while Marquez managed to fight through and claim the win. Acosta, meanwhile, was in the thick of it, battling hard and nearly pulling off that elusive first victory. He finished just behind Marquez, securing his first sprint podium since the Aragon race last year. And this is the part most people miss. While Acosta's result looks impressive on paper, it came after months of frustration, where he had to rebuild his confidence from scratch, starting over almost like a beginner despite his growing reputation in the sport. In his post-race chat, the 21-year-old shared how brutal the early season had been, especially with the added challenge of recovering from surgery. "It was super tough," he said, explaining that he came into the year with high expectations, only to see them vanish quickly. For example, imagine preparing for a marathon, but then dealing with a sprained ankle right before the start. That's somewhat like what Acosta faced, having to adapt on the fly and push through races that felt even harder than his first time out. Enea Bastianini, riding for KTM Tech 3, rounded out the podium in 3rd, which was his best showing this season after getting replaced at Ducati by the current championship leader, Marquez. This shake-up in team dynamics added another layer of intrigue, as Bastianini's solid performance highlighted how team changes can sometimes lead to unexpected breakthroughs. When reflecting on qualifying, Acosta was realistic, noting that landing between 3rd and 5th would have been a solid spot for his bike setup. But the race itself played out in a way that kept him in contention for a top finish, with possibilities ranging from 2nd to 4th place. As for that dramatic overtake by Marquez on the penultimate lap, Acosta admitted it was inevitable. "At the end, it was clear that he was going to pass me sooner or later," he recounted, describing how Marquez had a slight edge in handling, particularly in corners like Turn 1. Acosta tried everything to fight back, attempting to close gaps in other sections of the track, but a small slip almost cost him more. He decided to play it smart, focusing on finishing the race safely and securing that podium spot instead of risking it all. There was even a moment of tension after the race when Marquez was briefly investigated for tire pressure issues, which had Acosta eyeing that top step. But after review, Marquez was cleared, holding on to his victory. Despite missing out on first place, Acosta took a moment to dedicate his performance to the late Borja Gomez, a fellow Spanish rider from the European Superstock Championship, who had recently passed away. It's a touching reminder of how personal these victories can be, connecting racers to their community and honoring those who've influenced the sport. But let's not gloss over the controversy here. Was Marquez's aggressive move a brilliant display of skill, or did it cross into unsportsmanlike territory? And what about the tire pressure rules? Are they fair, or do they add unnecessary drama to races? This is the kind of stuff that gets fans fired up, and I'd love to hear your take. Do you think Acosta could have won with a different strategy, or was Marquez's overtake justified? Jump into the comments and let's discuss agreement or disagreement. All opinions welcome. MotoGP Brno Sprint Race Highlights. Marc Marquez wins thrilling 2025 Tissot Sprint. *** MotoGP Sprint race results from Brno ***. In a thrilling display of skill and strategy, Marc Marquez emerged victorious in the MotoGP Tissot Sprint race held on Saturday afternoon at the Automotodrome Brno in the Czech Republic. Piloting his Lenovo team Ducati Mercedes GP25 equipped with Michelin-controlled tires, the six-time world champion clinched the 10-lap race with a narrow margin of 0.798 seconds. Pedro Acosta secured the second position riding his Red Bull KTM factory racing RC16, while Enea Bastianini rounded out the podium in third place on his Red Bull KTM Tech 3 RC16. Marco Bezzecchi finished fourth aboard his Aprilia Racing RS GP25, and Fabio Quartararo completed the top five on his Monster Energy Yamaha YZR M1. Notably, pole position holder Francesco Bagnaia crossed the finish line in seventh place on his Lenovo team Ducati Mercedes GP25, and Jorge Martin, making his comeback, finished in 11th on his Aprilia Racing RS GP25. With this win, Marc Marquez solidifies his lead in the championship standings, amassing a total of 356 points, which places him 95 points ahead of Alex Marquez, who has 261 points. Bagnaia currently sits in third with 200 points. ***, a closer look at the race dynamics ***. According to a press release from Dorna, Marquez's victory was not without its strategic complexities. The Brno Sprint marked the inaugural Tissot Sprint at this venue, and it was also the first pole start of 2025 for Francesco Bagnaia. From the moment the lights went out, the stakes were high. A battle over tire pressure seemed to slow both Bagnaia and his teammate Marquez, but the number 93 quickly regained momentum, pushing to the front and securing another sprint win. This race also marked a significant achievement for Acosta and Bastianini, as it was the first time this season that two KTMs shared a podium. ***, early race action, intense battles throughout the field ***. Bagnaia initially took the lead, but by turn 3, Marquez made his move, overtaking him. Meanwhile, Alex Marquez struggled with a poor start, finding himself in 19th place by lap 1. The drama escalated on lap 2 when Augusto Fernandez slid off at turn 3, colliding with Takaki Nakagami, which ended both of their races. By the second lap, Acosta had moved into third place, overtaking Fabio Quartararo, who was engaged in a fierce battle with Marco Bezzecchi at turn 10. Jorge Martin, the reigning world champion, was making a strong comeback, climbing to 7th early in the race. ***, tire pressure issues. A key factor in performance ***. As the race progressed, Bastianini capitalized on his strong performance, moving into 4th place by the end of lap 4. However, the situation became tense when Bagnaia slowed down, allowing Acosta, Bastianini, and Quartararo to pass him. A similar scenario unfolded for Marquez shortly after, as he too slowed, letting Acosta take the lead in his first outing at Brno. The slowing of both Ducatis raised concerns about tire pressure management, but they quickly regained their pace, setting the stage for a thrilling final 3 laps with Acosta, Marquez, Bastianini, and Quartararo all vying for victory. Bezzecchi managed to climb into the top 5, overtaking Bagnaia at turn 11. *** Final laps, late charges and strategic moves ***. In the penultimate lap, Bezzecchi showcased his renowned late race speed, moving into 4th place ahead of Quartararo. At the front, Marquez executed a decisive maneuver from turn 8 to turn 9, reclaiming the lead in what would ultimately be the winning pass against El Tiburón. This victory not only extended Marquez's championship lead, but also marked Acosta's first sprint podium since Aragon 2024. The presence of 2 KTMs on the podium highlighted their successful history at Brno, while Bastianini celebrated his first podium of the year. Although there was a brief investigation into Marquez's tire pressure, the win was confirmed. *** Race conclusion, final standings and reflections ***. Bezzecchi finished in 4th place, followed closely by Quartararo. On the final lap, Fernandez surged into 6th, overtaking Pulsita Bagnaia. Johann Zarco and Paul Espargaro rounded out the points-paying positions. Jorge Martin, in his comeback race, finished 11th, just behind Brad Binder. Alex Marquez faced a disappointing race, finishing in 17th place and earning no points, which further widened the gap to Marquez in the championship standings. However, as always in racing, there's another opportunity on the horizon. For complete MotoGP results from Brno, click here at https://www.motob.com/en/results/gp-results/2025/CZE/SPR/SPR/classification. ***. What are your thoughts on the race? Did Marquez's strategy surprise you? Share your opinions in the comments below. ***. Links to additional resources ***. Classification Sprint MotoGP https://www.roadracingworld.com/uploads/2025/07/classification-sprint-motob.pdf. World Standing MotoGP https://www.roadracingworld.com/wp-content/uploads/2025/07/world-standing-motob-2.pdf. Copyright symbol 2025, Road Racing World Publishing Incorporated. By Mathild Gasnier. Ducati's Brno tire pressure debacle explained MotoGP. A shocking twist in MotoGP history. How 2 Ducati riders faced a high-stakes battle over tire pressure at Brno. When Marc Marquez and Pecco Bagnaia took the lead at the Czech Grand Prix, they found themselves in a precarious position, one that would test their racing instincts and technical knowledge in ways neither expected. Both riders intentionally slowed down to manipulate their front tire pressures, but their approaches diverged dramatically, leading to vastly different outcomes. Marquez, the reigning champion, used the slipstream to drop behind KTM's Pedro Acosta, then surged past him to secure the win. His strategy was clear. He needed to maintain pressure above the minimum threshold for 3 laps, a rule that could cost him 8 seconds if violated. But Bagnaia's plan backfired. He followed the same tactic, only to find himself stranded behind Acosta, unable to recover from a critical miscalculation. "I didn't generate enough pressure," Bagnaia admitted later, explaining how he let Acosta pass in the wrong position. "Enia Bastianini and Fabio Quartararo overtook me, and I was certain I'd get a penalty. But when I checked the telemetry, I saw I was actually over the limit, just not on the dashboard. It was a dashboard problem, not a mistake." This revelation sparked a heated debate. Was it a technical flaw, a human error, or something else entirely? The controversy deepened when Marquez, who had been confident in his approach, was surprised to learn he wasn't under investigation. "I thought everything was fine," he said, recalling the post-race tension. Gigi Dall'Igna was asking if I was within the limits, and the dashboard said yes. But I was under investigation, and I didn't realize it. Meanwhile, Ducati clarified that the issue was a glitch in the dashboard system, not a misinput by their engineers. The root cause? A pre-race electronics problem that disrupted the programming. While the minimum pressure setting for front tires is standardized at 1.8 bar, it's adjusted race to race, adding complexity to the challenge. Marquez's near miss highlighted the razor-thin margin between success and failure in MotoGP, a sport where even a fraction of a second can decide the outcome. But here's where it gets controversial. Should riders be forced to manipulate their tire pressures in this way? And is the current system too reliant on technology, leaving room for errors? As Bagnaya's story shows, even the best teams can face unexpected hurdles. What do you think? Was the dashboard glitch a flaw in the system, or a symptom of a larger problem in MotoGP's technical rules? Share your thoughts in the comments below.